This is Franklin Clinton, the truest example of what a GTA main protagonist should be like. From the streets of Los Santos with a get rich or die trying mindset in hopes of one day making it big.
Now me, I'm a hustler that made it big. Big house, nice cars, a family and everything.
Although I assume that if you clicked on this video, Franklin doesn't need to be introduced to you. Most GTA players also believe that they know Franklin's complete life story. But do you know what happened to Franklin's parents? How did Franklin manage to get in contact with Dr. DRE? Or where did Franklin meet Lamar?
I mean, one time we was both this and I was about to go in and we kind of like touched but it wasn't even like a slap or nothing. I mean, man, it was like almost like a brush, you know? I mean, it wasn't nothing, homie. It wasn't even like awkward or nothing. But
Lamar, what the f are you talking about? Luckily for you guys, in this video we will be taking a deeper dive into the side of Franklin's life that wasn't perhaps so much showcased in the GTA 5 storyline. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the video. In 2013, we saw Franklin as this hood kid from South Los Santos, who would have given anything to get out of there. Rather weirdly, he met these two middle-aged lunatics with whom he also made a lot of money with. And fast forward to 2021, Franklin had become a real hustler, living in Vinewood and working with big-time celebrities. But before all of that, what happened to Franklin's parents? As you know, at the beginning of GTA 5, Franklin shared a house with his aunt Denise, who he didn't exactly get along great with.
Shoo! Get on out of here!
That obviously raises the question that what about the rest of Franklin's family? What about Franklin's mom and dad? Where are they? Well, if we take a look into a few hangout conversations Franklin had with Michael and Jimmy, we get a more clear overview.
I never had a dad growing up. Older guys, they always freak me out. I got raised by cats on the street, man. Some good, some bad. But turns out none of them knew shit about nothing.
What was your dad like?
Man, I never knew him. But from what I heard, he was a cool dude.
Really?
Nah, man, that's just what I say to everybody, homie. I heard he was a who hit my moms and then ran away when she was pregnant. Him.
I know how you feel, man.
From what it seems like, Franklin never actually knew his father, since he left before Franklin was even born. That and the fact that his dad used to be violent towards Franklin's mom are the reasons why Franklin hasn't to this day even wanted to find out who his father was. But what about Franklin's mom? His mom was actually also mentioned in another dialogue with Lamar and Trevor.
Ever since my mom chose to pipe over her baby, man, I've been lacking a feminine role model. Your mom left? Wasn't left alone before they found her dead.
So as it turns out, Franklin's mom is also not with him anymore. Not because she had left Frank or anything, but rather she just died of a drug overdose when Franklin was little. Contrary to mainstream belief, it wasn't Franklin's aunt Denise who all of a sudden started to raise Franklin, despite them two living together. It is actually hinted that Franklin was raised by his grandparents, who he really respected for that.
My parents were threw everything away, but my grandma was real cool, dog. She left me the house. Overall, man, I ain't angry.
This being said, it now becomes clear how Franklin managed to own a house in Los Santos despite being broke and only 25 years old at the time. The house turned out to be inherited to both him and his aunt Denise, both getting a 50% ownership of it. This now also explains why Franklin used to live with his aunt, who he didn't even like one bit. How did Franklin and Lamar meet? The friendship between Frank and Lamar is definitely the most iconic one in the GTA universe.
maybe you got rid of that old yee haircut you got, you get some on your Oh, better yet, maybe Tanisha will call your dog she ever stop with that brain surgeon, the lawyer she with.
There is just something about two very different black males being friends that people like, and not only in games like GTA. I mean, how different is Franklin and Lamar's relationship from, for example, Mike and Marcus from the movie Bad Boys, or Tej and Roman from the Fast and Furious? In one of the early missions of GTA 5, Lamar told Franklin that they had come from the sandbox together. This would indicate that Frank and Lamar had known each other since they were pretty much born, as Sandbox is for very young children. In the mission Pac-Man, Trevor actually asks Lamar where he met Franklin, and well, take a listen at what Lamar had to say.
So, tell me man, what about you and Frank?
Oh, hell no, homie, it ain't like that. We ain't like y'all, you know, don't get down like that. I mean, one time we was both and I was about to go in and we kind of like touched. It wasn't even like a slap or nothing. I mean, man, it was like almost like a brush, you know? I mean, that shit, it wasn't nothing, homie. It wasn't even like awkward or nothing. But don't tell nobody though.
That's how you met Franklin. Brushing in an
It wasn't no man, that was a three-way. And nah, we ain't meet there. Nah, wait, that wasn't Frank. That was JB in a three-way. Frank ain't into that. And he smoked crack now. JB, I mean, not Frank. So there you go.
Actually, man, you know what? I don't care where you and JB met or you and Franklin.
It was at school, Davis High. Me and Frank was always tight, lanky and fatty. We was slanging together, then we was banging together, then we back to slanging. That's a young man game, you heard me?
Although at first Lamar started talking about some crazy story where he and Franklin were in an orgy, then it quickly turned out to be a wrong call. Because I don't know about y'all, but I ain't never imagining Franklin, the high school romance guy, in an orgy. More importantly, it came out Franklin and Lamar met in school, the Davis High where they both went to, and were even quite an iconic duo often called Lanky and Fatty. Furthermore, Lamar jokingly told us about Franklin's ambition of wanting to become a CEO and franchising the truck scene.
Never enough for him, man. Didn't want to be a soldier, wanted to be the general. Didn't want to be a slinger, wanted to be the CEO. Running franchises and Who franchising in the game?
This is also the fundamental difference between Franklin and Lamar. While Lamar is more of an outgoing but also very lazy person, then Franklin always puts his future before anything else. But it is also this difference that makes this friendship so entertaining to watch. What did Franklin do between 2013 and 2021? As most of you remember, it was in 2021 that Franklin made a comeback to the storyline, appearing in GTA Online, working with our online character. But what did Franklin do between these 8 years? After all, Franklin was already rich after the 2013 action. Why open his agency 8 years later? Well, yes, it is true. When the GTA 5 story ended in 2013, Franklin had managed to climb out of the hood alongside the action, getting his first big take from the Vangelico heist, then receiving a mansion in Vinewood Hills for his private assassination jobs he did for Lester, and then finally getting around $30 million from the final big score of the Union Depository. But remind you, Franklin also needed to get back Tanisha to get his life in order. And in 2013, Tanisha was not impressed by the fact that Franklin had all of a sudden gotten some money.
And this is the future? A big empty house with nobody who gives a about you.
It works for me, it can work for you, babe.
I'm getting married, Franklin, to a doctor, not a murderer.
Then what the doing here, Tanisha?
I'm worried about Lamar. You gotta help him, Franklin.
Man, that is old.
Oh, I'm a legitimate businessman now, sister. I'm a CEO, an investor. I'm Illuminati. I'm a phony.
By 2021 though, it turned out Tanisha had now married Franklin and they even had kids together. So that means that in the meanwhile, Franklin's most important change happened not in his wealth, but rather in himself, that led to Tanisha deciding to marry him. For the first part of the decade or so, Franklin most likely just focused on himself, living only with Chop in the new Vinewood Hills neighborhood. He completely ditched the gang life and more importantly also convinced Lamar to leave it, as by 2021 Lamar himself made some questionable but at least legitimate business moves without the influence of the gangs. Franklin also most likely ditched going to the strip club, as Tanisha didn't seem to like it one bit.
Where are you? Are you in a strip club? Grow up, stop looking for the easy way.
Tanisha, I gotta go, alright? I'ma change, I promise. You won't even recognize me.
All of this eventually showed Tanisha that Franklin had changed, and while our online character was busy running his business empire, Franklin was out there starting a family. But it was supposedly in 2021 Franklin had kind of gotten bored of the family life and decided to open a new business with our online character. But that's not to say Franklin hadn't got richer with the 8 years. After all, most of you guys put the money you had at the end of the GTA 5 storyline to different stocks, which over time increased their value, so it is most likely Franklin did the same. How did Franklin manage to contact Dr. DRE? So the most important client of our agency work in 2021 was no doubt Dr. DRE, But it is quite crazy how a few month-old agency could all of a sudden get the Dr. DRE as their client. This is the call from Franklin when he announced to our online character that we had gotten an A-list celebrity as our client.
Well, remember that big client I was fishing for? The kind of A-lister that'll give us that jump? Well, check this out. We got a meeting over at the golf club. Yeah, that's right. It's all set. Hey, they playing that boring ass game all day. So just head over there when you ain't handling for the office, alright? Oh yeah, and someone in the clubhouse, they gonna help you get dress code compliant. Hey, I'll see you soon, alright?
So not much info on how exactly Franklin got in contact with DRE. When we got on the golf course though, Franklin called Dr. DRE's friend DJ Pooh his plug.
You see that skinny one right there? That's DJ Pooh. That's our plug, homie.
So it looks like it was DJ Pooh that was the mediator between Frank and DRE. How Pooh might have known Franklin is already a bit more simple. DJ Pooh is the host of West Coast Classics, the hip-hop radio of GTA 5. This radio is stationed in Davis, the same neighborhood that Franklin is from. And as Franklin was one of the quite a few people who has ever gotten out of the hood, he most likely had built some sort of a reputation for himself in the community. That reputation had potentially also reached Pooh, who himself was also one of the breakouts from the hood. So yeah, in conclusion, Dr. DRE had a friend from the same hood as Franklin, and as both Franklin and Pooh had gotten out of the hood, they had grown a respect for each other. Why didn't Franklin like the Chamberlain Hills Families? Now obviously, one of the reasons Franklin wanted to get out of the hood was to make something out of himself. Mostly to show Tanisha he's also worth something, but there seemed to be another very important reason. In 2013, Franklin and Lamar kind of separated themselves from the CGF and created their own gang called the Forum Drive Families. But that wouldn't make a difference to Tanisha what gang exactly Franklin was in. It looks like the reason is more involved with an OG member of the CGF, Stretch. Right off meeting Stretch, Franklin had an obvious distaste for him, and later on we understood the reason for this beef was the fact that Stretch thought himself to be better than Franklin because he was so-called OG of the gang. He even demanded cuts from Franklin's own jobs that he conducted with Trevor and Michael.
Hey man, round the way they saying you got this high-end whip lick on the go. Is that what's up?
Man, don't listen to them snitches, homie. You know what's happening.
Where my cut, mother? You got to bring the OG in, you dig?
Nah, I don't dig, mother. I ain't into that pyramid shit no more.
Man, when you win, little homie. I'm gonna get my end.
Is that right? Well, good luck with that. Man, that gangbanging time warp shit is done.
This obviously didn't suit Franklin and made him question why he was a part of the gang anyway, often just calling it a pyramid scheme. So all in all, Franklin thought CGF to be just a scam where he had to pay some other lowlifes a cut of his own hard-earned money. Will Franklin also move to Vice City in GTA 6? Okay, so it is clear to basically everyone on Earth now that GTA 6 will be coming out in a few short months in fall of 2025. That raises the question that which characters from GTA 5 will also be making a move there. But let's take a look at Franklin. He's born and raised in Los Santos. This city is quite literally in his blood. He has family here and is living lavishly in the most expensive neighborhood of the city. Why would he all of a sudden make a move to the other side of the United States? To be clear with you, this is all just a plain guess, but quite contradictingly, I actually do believe Franklin to make a comeback in the Vice City action. Like I already mentioned in the Michael Hidden Lore video, from the character backstory point of view, it doesn't in fact make much sense to move any GTA 5 main character to GTA 6. It is just that it would be such a waste of an opportunity to not make such a crossover between the most successful game of the 2010s and the most hyped game in the history of the world ever. Imagine how cool it would be to see Franklin and Lamar arguing with each other over some dumb shit in Vice City. This would almost be a one-of-one version of the Bad Boys movie. Rockstar wouldn't have to make Franklin one of the main characters. In fact, I think it would somewhat even ruin GTA 6. but they could just let him be a side character that we get to meet in the streets of Vice City for some very minor missions. Kind of like we have Maud or the Epsilon program missions in GTA 5, which are insignificant in terms of the storyline. But what do you guys think? Would you even want Franklin and potentially other GTA 5 characters to make a comeback in GTA 6 and Vice City? Or do you think GTA 6 should be a completely separate game, not connected to GTA 5 whatsoever? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to also check out my other documentaries about the GTA universe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.